Greetings.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you for having us.
What are we? Bjarke often says that each project should be giving a gift to society. We were basically saying, why don't you spiral the setback over the entire height of the building?
Wow. Yeah. I definitely gonna revisit it once it's done, and I wanna see it.
You have to go.
Yeah, I know. I gotta go. Hi channel, this is Wonjae Lee from Architecture Recipe. Today we're here at the very unique place in New York, BIG's office with Kai.
Greetings.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you, Kai. Thank you for having us. He's taking charge of the managing whole office in Brooklyn office of BIG, right?
Actually, globally.
Globally.
No worries. And we've been in Brooklyn in New York for the past 14 years. I've been with Big now close to 19 years. So I started actually working in the Danish office, in the Copenhagen office with Bjarke when he just started Big. We've grown from the kind of initial 30 people when I started to close to 800 people working in 8 offices globally.
So I just want to talk about introduction about BIG. So we have a lot of audience really curious about what you're doing in New York and globally maybe. Talk about how you actually end up being here in New York and then or how you end up being with the BIG Angel.
So Big came to New York because Bjarke met an American developer by the name of Douglas Durst in Copenhagen. We were just an office in Copenhagen working on projects in Scandinavia. So when the developer came to Copenhagen, he was presenting his projects, his high-rise projects here. And he said something that was like, my high-rise projects are the most sustainable high-rises, the most sustainable projects, and they're all so different than everything that came before. And Bjarke was in the audience and he raised his hand and he said, if these buildings are so different, why do they look like all the other buildings? And I think initially the client was kind of like, who is this guy? Why is he asking this question? But he thought about it and he thought actually it's a pretty smart question. So he contacted Bjarke afterwards and he said, the next time you are in New York, come to my office. So Bjarke came here. Douglas Durst said, I have a little project that I would like for you to look at. But it was a whole city block, 705 apartments. And that was the VIA project.
Oh.
So for him, that was a little project. For us, it was the biggest project we'd ever worked on. So within 1 or 2 months, we presented the concept. And one more time, Douglas came to Denmark to look at the concept. And then he said, this is the last time I'm coming to Denmark. If you wish to do this project, you have to be in the United States, in New York City. And so a few weeks later, Bjarke, with 5 other people, moved to New York City to start the office.
Wow, that's really bold and challenging.
Yes. And that was, again, 5 or 6 people 14 years ago. And we are now close to 200 people here in New York. We also opened an office in Los Angeles last year. And it's been incredible to see the type of work that we get to work on here.
I'm really curious about, I guess for 14 years you're working in New York and Brooklyn, it might be really challenging to grow from like 5 people to 200. And do you have any any obstacle or like?
Of course, what you're describing, we have challenges every day. Everyone would have challenges. I think one of the things that we very quickly, in America, North America, there's a sense that if you are on the East Coast or in the Midwest or on the West Coast, you are still in America. Either US or Canada. And there's a feeling that you're here, no matter where you are. In Europe, if you fly 6 hours, you are in Central Asia or you're in the Middle East. You don't have the same feeling of like all being in one place. So right away, when we had our first project in New York, our second project was in Florida, our third project was in Vancouver. So right away, we kind of mapped out all of these very far away places, but it was still one place. And we felt that the clients still felt that New York was not too far away. That's the difference.
The next question will be related to the design process, because we have a lot of architecture student or audience there really curious about your work and how BIG initiate his design process. So does your design making decision go beyond your architecture philosophy or vision, and then what is that?
Yeah, so I mean, everything does in some way center around Bjarke Ingels Group. Bjarke is still involved in all projects. He does so through every team is sending him weekly updates on where the design is. We have, in addition to Bjarke, we have 27 partners. So between us, we support the kind of design process. And often Bjarke also delegates or is working with the design partners who've worked with him now for 20 to 25 years. And then we rely on the project leaders and the project designers to offer that kind of constant kind of discussion about what is the design intent. Bjarke often says that each project should be giving a gift to society. So how can you take a brief that's asking for one thing, and then how do you translate the brief into a gift, and you're trying to basically solve something and contribute to the greater society. That is what drives our work. And by having both the interaction of Bjarke, the partners, and the design leaders in each office, we're able to keep that process going.
I guess speaking to the distributing back to society, I guess the project I kind of want to talk about later on was the Big U master plan, which has to do with the New York resiliency of regarding to the water, you know. So can you talk about that a little bit? And then I really want to point out that what the project itself is really a valuable project as a social distribution, I guess. But can you talk about a little bit about that project?
Yes, so we call that actually social infrastructure, because oftentimes infrastructure is the world of engineer, and architects are very small participants. If you think about roads, tunnels, bridges, flood systems, it's very rare that you get an architect to design these things. We believe that strongly that architects should be a part of all infrastructure because it touches us on a community level, on a society level. If only engineers engineer the bridges, the tunnels, the flood systems, the energy systems, we will get solutions that are driven by pragmatism. Cheapest, quickest, kind of, this kind of. So we don't necessarily weigh what is it doing for people. So by the flood management system that we developed, the Big U, we solve against sea level rise and flooding, but more importantly, we create a system that supports the public realm, the recreation, the sports and health of the community. So if you're spending billions of dollars, don't just build a dumb gray wall like you see in so many flooding areas. Build a park that is also the dumb gray wall. So it benefits far more for the community and for different generations. So the Big U is a piece of social infrastructure that over a 20 to 30 year period, all of Manhattan, the lower lying areas that would flood, will be protected against future storm events. This is our, in a way, gift or design thinking. The most difficult thing is that it will take maybe 20 years plus to fully build out. So you have to create a design that many mayors and that many political administrations all have to agree upon.
So next question, I think now we're gonna jump into the project. One more other project is maybe the project that sitting on right behind. This is an architecture school in University of Kansas. The first time I heard was, actually, I'm from KU, so this is my undergrad school that I went. And the first time I hear about the news was one of the professors told me that BIG just got the master plan project at University of Kansas. And then I thought that you only do the master plan project, but also you just got the architecture school project from the competition. Is it two different separate projects or the one project?
It's different projects. So the first project at Kansas is a feasibility project, which is deciding if a new school is necessary. If it's a new school, is it just an addition, an expansion, or a brand new building? The process of the feasibility did decide we have both renovations of our existing facilities, but we also have the need of a new building. And then we were asked to design the new building. And what we felt was the Midwest is famous for wooden architecture, like barns. Every farm has these wonderful barns. And there's something called barn raising. So where families come together and then they build the wooden farmhouse on the ground and then they raise and they build the roof on top. And this idea in American history of families coming together, building wooden farmhouses in the Midwest, in Kansas, was also what drove us to come with an idea of an all-wood building. So the uniqueness of this is that the core that you see in there is wood, not concrete. Facade is 100% wood. There's no metal fasteners keeping the structure together. And then the floors are all wood. And then the stair that takes you all the way around is also a structural element. So this is a all timber building proving that we could actually build a low carbon emission school project that, because of the design build history at Kansas University, we wanted the students to also build components.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Really?
We want the students to be a part of the building. They will then care about their school much, much more than if someone else was building it. So this is in a fundraising phase where they are looking for the funds. I think about 1/3 of the funds have been sourced. A lot of private, a lot of past alumni are very, very excited. And then it will be tendered in another process. So we're hoping that once they have enough funds, it will start maybe next year as a design, and then construction would follow a couple of years after that.
Wow. Yeah. I definitely gonna revisit it once it's done, and I want to see.
You have to go.
Yeah, I know. I gotta go. I got all my friends back in Kansas, so yeah, cool. I think by the chance I was drove by somewhere in Brooklyn, Manhattan, I saw the Spiral building, and then it was stunning. And then I saw the presentation that BIG did in YouTube channel somewhere, and then the concept of like twisting the building is amazing. Not many people actually thinking about those ways. And then, can you tell us a little bit about the project?
So there's no twisting, actually. It may look like it, but there's no twisting. The Spiral is an office building. It's actually, I think, 2.8 million square feet. So it's a fairly large office building, which is 280,000 square meters for an international audience. Everyone remembers in Manhattan the kind of building code where you're always going up and reducing, right? So you get the wedding cake kind of building. And it was to bring in more daylight into the streets. So imagine that this building code had been around for over 100 years, and no one had ever come with an idea or an interpretation where instead of going up a certain distance and in, up and in, up and in, we were basically saying, why don't you spiral the setback over the entire height of the building? So it's 1,000 feet tall, over 300 meters tall. And we are saying to do the same idea and concept, but now to do it over the entire facade. This creates a terrace on 66 floors. And it is the first time that we built a super tall high rise, and you can go out and smoke a cigarette on every floor. I mean, the ability to actually go outdoors in a super tall is something completely new. No other city around the world has this. And then we built a landscape that goes from the High Line, because the High Line is this wonderful new infrastructure piece, a park. The building is built right across the street from the High Line. We take the High Line into the skyline, and we take the landscape all the way up. And what's happened now is something so unique. The birds and the bees in New York only go up a certain height because after a certain height, there aren't any more gardens.
Exactly.
But because we have a garden on every floor, there are now bees in New York at the 66th floor.
Really?
So we call these mountaineering bees, and who knows what they will evolve into. And there are birds, there are bats, there are all kinds of living things that have started to live in the high rise.
You're just creating new ecology for all the bees and the birds,
Yes.
and and then like creating all the way to the 66.
We need more gardens in the sky.
So this is Wanjali from Architecture Recipe. I'm from Brooklyn, New York with Kai, partner from BIG Architecture. Thank you for being with us.
It was a pleasure. Pleasure's all mine.
Thank you.